Hello everyone, Lisa here. Welcome back to my channel and the Cookbook Journal Kit series. Today we're going to be adding the signatures into our journal. You can see we have our cover all done. Our elastic is run for the closure. Our metal book corners are on. We've added some embellishments. And this journal cover is ready for pages. So today I'm going to take you through how I assemble the signatures that we're going to add to our cover. Let's begin. To get started, I go through and sort each one of my pages and start folding them in half. I like the small little pages that the vintage book pages gives you when you fold them in half. Sometimes I like to tape two pages together, and I use some washi tape because that's pretty thin and still holds up very nicely, and I'll tape both sides of the two pages that are just sitting right next to each other. And this will create two pages in one of the signatures. Fold that in half, and just like that we have two pages ready to go. And then I just continue and go through the whole stack, folding each page in half. This part only takes a minute. You can do all different kinds of things with your book pages. I've come to my paper bag. I'm just going to cut the bottom of the bag off and fold the bag in half, and that's going to create two pockets, just like that. I'm going to finish folding this stack of papers up. I've come to the pattern paper that's already been pre-folded. I'm going to set that aside and show you how I tape those ends together. Now that all of our pages have been folded, I'm going to come back to the two pieces of pattern paper. I'm going to take some double-sided tape and just run it along the edge on the smaller part of the fold. Remove the paper and then glue the folded side down. And then when you fold that in half, it creates two pages in your journal with pockets. Just like that. So I will do the same thing with this next sheet of paper. I get my double-sided tape from Joann's. It's like $1.99 for a roll. They come in all different kinds of sizes. And we will finish up this piece of paper. And these are all of the pages for our journal. Now that we have all of our pages already folded, I just like to go through and create 4 stacks, dividing all of the papers into 4 signatures and trying to evenly divide all of the different pages into 4 groups. These 4 groups will make up the 4 different signatures in our journal. And I'm just sorting through all of the plain paper that was in the kit. And then I'll start dividing all of the recycled book pages in envelopes, cardstock, just trying to make sure that all of the books will have a good variety of pages. Once you have all of them sorted out, then you can begin to assemble your signature. I usually like to use a cardstock piece of paper on the outside of the signature
And one by one add the pages. Just trying to vary which pages go in. And this will create the signatures in our journal. Once we have all 4 of our signatures sorted out and organized, I'm going to take some jumbo paper clips and clip all of our pages within the signatures. I get my jumbo paper clips from the Dollar Tree. You get a huge pack for $1, and I just keep reusing them. You'll see I put 2 clips on the top of my signature and 1 clip at the bottom, and this just helps me keep track and make sure I'm sewing in my signatures the right side up. So I'll go through and do this for each one of the signatures. It really helps keep all of the papers exactly where you've put them during the sewing process. Once we have all of our signatures clipped, we are ready to move on to marking our grid paper. Our grid paper was inside the journal cover in your kit. With the grid paper that has been supplied in the kit, we are going to start planning where we're going to poke the holes into the spine of our signature. If you count the blocks from left to right, we want to equally space out places to add 4 signatures. And so looking at your grid, count how many lines you have and divide that by 4, and you'll be ready to start marking your 4 dots. I like to come in from the top of the piece of paper at least 2 blocks and then equally space out my 4 dots. I would do that from the bottom as well, making sure that all of my dots are on the same line so that our signatures are sewn in nice and straight. I'll then eyeball the center of my paper and add my 4 dots. Then between the center and the top dots, I pick a location in the center and make 4 dots. And then coming down towards the bottom, in between the middle and the bottom dots, we're going to eyeball the center and add 4 dots there. Again, making sure that they're all nice and straight on the same line. Once you have all of your dots marked on your grid paper, go ahead and mark the top so that when we use this grid to punch out our holes in our signature, all of our holes will line up with our journal cover. I'm going to take a piece of washi tape and just tape this into place for now. And begin poking holes through my journal cover. I'm just using an awl and a piece of cork board underneath my journal kit or my journal cover and poking a hole that goes all the way through. You could also do this on an old book as well. Once you've poked holes on all of your little dots, you'll want to turn the journal cover right side up and make sure that your holes have gone all the way through. The denim makes it hard to see the holes. However, you can feel them with your fingers. And when you go back through and check your holes, you can make them a little bit bigger, which will make it easier during the sewing process. And I'm trying to do this so my hand doesn't get in the way, but I did not succeed. Now that our journal cover is all done, I'm going to take an old book and just open it to the center. I'm going to take my grid and just fold that in half. And we're ready to punch the holes into our signatures. Keep in mind the top of the journal with the 2 clips, and we've marked our grid paper. We're just going to line that up, paying close attention to where your holes are in relation to the top and the bottom of your pages. And you can go through and poke the holes into your signature. Just like that. The book helps us keep the holes on the very end or the corner of our signatures. And we repeat the process for each one of the 4 signatures. We're on the 3rd one now. And our last one. And now when we line up all of our journal or our signatures, you'll see all of the holes are in the same place. We are ready to start sewing in our signatures. To do that, I'm going to pull off a good amount of DMC thread. And then I measure my 4 pieces of DMC thread just by pulling it across the book 2.5 times and cut my 4 pieces. And I just pre-cut those and have them ready. I'm going to use a fairly large needle with a good size eye to sew in the signatures. Even with the large eye, I'm going to struggle here in just a second trying to get that threaded. As we start sewing our signatures, we're going to start in the far left row of holes, and you'll see that here in just a second. This is going to be a 5-hole pamphlet stitch, and the first couple of signatures might be a little tricky, but I guarantee by the 4th signature you will be a pro and ready to start your next journal. Alright, I finally got my thread through the needle and we're ready to begin. We're going to start in the very center of the signature and work from the inside of the book out. So start in the middle hole, and we're going to work towards the top of the journal. Make sure to leave a good thread tail. We're going to go to the very next hole right above the center and go back into the signature from the inside out. Next, we're traveling to the hole right above that at the very top of the book. Next, we're going to go right back down into the hole right below the top. We're going back into the signature. At this point, we are skipping the middle hole and traveling to the hole directly below the middle. We're going back out to the outside of the book. And next, we are going all the way to the bottom hole and going back inside the signature. We will travel up next into the hole right above the bottom, to the outside of the book, rethread my needle, and then we're going to the hole in the center and we will go back into the middle of the signature. Make sure that your two thread tails, you have one on both sides of your threaded floss. If your signature is loose, go ahead and pull all of your strings until everything is nice and tight. And then we're going to tie 3 knots to secure our signature into the book. Don't worry, I'm going to do the next signature with you so that you can see this at least twice. Although my next signature, I do struggle a little bit. Now you can either leave your thread tails long or you can trim them. I remove the paper clips and then I do paper clip the whole signature closed, and that just helps keep the whole process a lot easier when we're adding the next signature. Adding the second signature, again, we'll walk through the process. We're going to start at the very center, working from the inside of the book to the outside and the middle hole. We're going to travel to the hole directly above the middle, back inside of the book. We will travel from this hole to the very top one, to the outside of the book, and then go back down directly below the top hole, back into the center of the book. And then we are traveling, skipping the middle hole and going back through the one directly below it to the outside of the book, then to the very bottom hole, and to the middle of the signature. We're going back up to the hole directly above the bottom, and then back through the middle of the signature. And I was struggling a little bit here. I do think it would be easier if you run your DMC thread through some like beeswax or some magic thread before you start. It's very easy to thread your needle into this floss. And so you can see I'm struggling a little bit here, but I finally get it all straight. And tighten up all of the strings and tie our knots. You can see I get frustrated and finally just cut that little thread off. Sometimes the struggle is real. And even if you've made tons and tons of journals, you can still face difficulties. So don't get frustrated. Just keep working at it and you'll get it. Now I'm going to go ahead and sew in the next 2 signatures. And we will meet back after I'm done. See how pretty this is coming along? Clip this one together and then add the next. Now that all of our signatures have been sewn into our journal cover, we can remove all of the jumbo paper clips and let all of the pages go free. So you can see how pretty the 5-hole pamphlet stitch looks from the outside of the journal. And all of our pages are sewn in. You can see how using the little grid helps keep everything all lined up and it all sews in very nice and evenly. You can see all of our pages coming together. We have pockets. We have all kinds of journaling pages or pages to put recipe cards. And we are ready to begin decorating our book. We have pockets. We can go ahead and adjust our elastic. I'm just going to tie a second knot just to make it a little bit tighter. I'm not really ready to commit yet on the length of my elastic because we have a lot of things to add inside our journal. And that's what we'll do in our very next video. We will begin decorating our pages, and I look forward to seeing you then. Bye.